This is Captain Mike Hall along with Fire Analyst Kristine Martin, and in this video we're going to talk to you about our new Community Risk and Emergency Services Analysis Standard of Cover. Many times we refer to this document as the CRESA, the CRESA-SOC, or just the SOC. The CRESA-SOC is derived from the Fire and Emergency Services Self-Assessment Manual Category 2 called Assessment and Planning. Now this document doesn't just happen overnight. It takes a lot of work from a lot of different people, and on page 2 you can see that about 70 different people contributed to our CRESA-SOC.
Hi everyone, this is Kristine, and I want to talk with you now a little bit about why the CRESA-SOC is an important document. It serves several purposes for our department. First, it allows us a better understanding of our community and the risks that exist within the city. It allows us also to assess how we do things and ensures we help meet the community expectations as outlined in our goals in the strategy plan. And lastly, we're able to share data and other information with both internal and external audiences. Basically, it helps us tell our story. Anything you want to know from our department's history to the programs we offer and to how we deploy can be found in this book. We also developed it because it's one of the 3 written requirements for accreditation. This, the strategy plan, and the self-assessment manual are the documentation that our peer assessors will review when considering our department for accreditation. Now that I've shared a little bit about why the CRESA-SOC is an important document, here are some other things you should know. The document can be found on our public website under the Fire Key Documents page. It's also available on the Fire Department's intranet page on the Ozone. There's a hard copy in every station. The station and the Ozone copies also have an appendix with a detailed analysis of each of our 77 emergency service zones that make up the fire grid. The CRESA-SOC will help you know more about Olathe, and specifically with the ESZ analysis, the areas of the city you might cover from each station. Use it as a reference. You are a critical part of our department's continuous improvement plan.
Now, inside the CRESA, you may see some terms that feel like they are new to you, and some of those terms could be planning area. We have 3 of them. We have a north, central, and south planning area. The north planning area is all parts of Olathe north of 127th Street. The central planning area is the midsection of our community between 127th and 151st Streets, and our south planning area, those are all parts of Olathe south of 151st Street. We also have emergency service zones, what we typically refer to as fire grids or even the districts in Firehouse. The ESZs are those 1 square miles that make up Olathe. You can see all of these pieces, the planning areas, the ESZs, on page 25 of the CRESA-SOC. Inside the CRESA, you will find 6 sections and 1 appendix. Section 1, that is our area characteristics. Section 2, it's our programs and services. Section 3, it's our community risk assessment. Section 4, deployment and performance. Section 5, that's our plan for maintaining and improving performance. Section 6, those are our conclusions and recommendations. And finally, you'll find Appendix A, which is an ESZ analysis. That is simply an overview of our community risk broken down by the square mile. Be sure to check that out, as it has a lot of interesting community data and facts.
Section 1, Area Characteristics, includes anything you want to know about Olathe, including information about the government and how it's structured, all the demographic information about the people in Olathe and their different characteristics, information about climate, schools, transportation. All of it can be found here in Section 1. It's intended to help someone get a good sense of the community overall. It also includes our department-specific history and major milestones.
Inside Section 2, you'll find information about our programs and services, the what we do. It covers how we organize and provide services such as community risk reduction, fire suppression, EMS and MIH, rescue, hazmat, EOD, homeland security, and emergency management. It also shows how we are organized to do the work. So you'll see information in there about the county response areas, our org chart, fire station map, and a lot more. It also has our specific risk reduction efforts, a summary of various programs and initiatives on page 60. So in section 2, you're going to see a lot of information about us as a whole. Section 3 is our community risk assessment, and basically it just gives us a better understanding of our risk here in Olathe. In Section 3, we classify risk by type, like fire, EMS, rescue, hazmat, or other. And then we take it a step further. We categorize the risk by its severity with low, moderate, high, or special. So each risk classification is also further categorized by severity. In Section 3, you will also find information about critical tasking. Critical tasking is simply the determination of what is needed to be done and who is needed to do it in order to effectively mitigate an incident. Critical tasking completely supports our risk-based deployment model. At the end of Section 3 of the Community Risk Assessment on page 101, you will find information about correlating community risks. These factors, either alone or in combination, may reliably help in the projection of future service demands for specific populations or locations within the community. For example, residents living in a chronically impoverished area may be more at risk to both fire and EMS-related incidents, which could easily result in more calls for service.
In Section 4, we focus on our deployment and performance. Section 4 starts on page 112 of the CRESA, and it's both a quantitative and qualitative analysis considering two things. First, our current or baseline performance, and then second, an evaluation of that performance and our deployment strategies, where we measure our performance against established benchmarks. Please keep in mind that when we talk about baseline performance, we're talking about how we actually perform today. The CRESA looks at several things in regard to our performance, things such as community expectations, meaning those priorities that based on stakeholder input we know are important for us to do. It also looks at community service demands like incident history, the incident types, incident location, their frequency, and other considerations of coverage. In this section, you'll find data such as information like 71% of our calls are medical in nature. July, September, and December are our busiest months. Monday and Friday are our busiest days, and between noon and 6 p.m. are our busiest times each day. Other considerations like equalization measures, concurrent incidents, first arriving coverage, and elapsed scene time can be found here as well. The next part of Section 4 details our current deployment strategies. This is where you'll find information about how we organize ourselves to respond to incidents throughout Olathe. So maps are located here where you find the station and their 4-minute travel time areas, so you get a good sense of which stations cover which areas of the city. We also talk about resiliency, our ability to change our deployment to meet any need, and also our reliability, what we can expect, how we can expect to perform under normal conditions. We also go into detail here about why it's important to consider time as a factor. That may sound obvious to you. You all know that responding quickly is important. Here we go into detail about how quickly a fire can grow in a home and how early intervention is critical to cardiac arrest saves. On page 133, there's a chart that shows the cascade of events involved in a 911 call and an emergency response. Each of the time elements in yellow are those that we measure and that we'll capture data on in the next few pages. On page 136, you'll see the section for our baseline performance tables. These are the data tables that include our baseline measurements, how we've performed over the last 5 years, and our benchmarks, where we want to be, our goals. You'll see these tables for each incident type. So there are tables for fire, tables for EMS, one's for tech rescue, and one for hazmat. And you'll also see that these tables are broken out by risk classification. So you'll see a low risk fire, a moderate risk fire, high risk fire, etc. After these tables, there's a brief discussion about response time performance by planning area, and then some information also about loss and preservation rates from our fire data.
Section 5 is about our plan for maintaining and improving performance. Simply stated, we always strive to get better, and this continuous improvement philosophy helps us better safeguard the people and property of the community while ensuring for the safety and security of our own folks. At its core, our plan for maintaining and improving performance is simply about the customer and our continuous improvement of service delivery.
Finally, the CRESA's last section is about our conclusions and recommendations, which were created based on sections 1 through 5. The CRESA-SOC process was an important part of the OFD's continuous improvement commitment. The process was undertaken to better identify the strengths and areas of improvement for our department. Ultimately, the process helps ensure both excellent and equitable customer service.
Well, that's it for this video. If you'd like to talk more about the CRESA-SOC, feel free to get a hold of either me or Kristine, as our doors are always open. Take care.